Welcome to the Comic Hero Talk YouTube channel, podcast, movie reviews, TV reviews, comic reviews. This is actually my very first comic review, and just want to give a little bit of a background. First of all, I'm Jacob Bartley, like I said, and I have a YouTube channel with my buddies called Apocalypse Movies. Go check that out if you haven't. But this is one of my friends that I was talking about from Apocalypse Movies. His name is Gio Ramos. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm excited to be here. It's the first video podcast.
Yeah, for Comic Hero Talk. And by the way, we're viewing the new DC Universe Rebirth comic. I think they only come out with one issue, right, for this, just to kind of revamp the universe in a way.
It's a one shot.
Just a one shot, and that's what we'll be reviewing today. But first, just want to give a little bit of background on us. We are not comic book experts. I want to get that point across very clearly. I just started reading comics, actually. I've been a fan of superheroes, comics, those properties for a very long time, ever since I was a young boy with the X-Men animated series, Spider-Man video games, and animated series. So my background is superheroes, but not necessarily comics. So, Gio, do you want to shed any light on that?
Yeah, look, I haven't read a lot of comics. As you can see by the shirt, I'm a fan of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, which means
Batman.
Which means that, I didn't read a lot of the comics, so I liked Batman v Superman a little bit more, not to get into that. But I was really into DC Rebirth because of Jeff Johns and what he will bring to the universe. He's not only the executive producer of DC films, but now he
runs all comics. He runs the
now.
CW universe, all those TV shows, and he's basically the man in the DC world.
Yeah.
So and as far as my interest in DC Rebirth, I heard about it. I wanted to read it, but during one of our podcasts for Apocalypse Movies, Gio brought me a copy, and I probably wouldn't have went and got it if he didn't. And I started reading it, and it reminded me. I had been wanting to read comics for the past few years since I've been getting into movies a lot, and it just reminded me that I kind of forgot about that, and now I'm totally into it. I already bought the Batman Rebirth, the Green Lantern's Rebirth, and the Green Arrow Rebirth, so I'm going to be reading those and putting those reviews up as well, along with some Marvel reviews and other stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about DC Universe Rebirth, the issue, the actual comic. So let's get right into it. So basically, Gio, you know a little bit more about this than I do, but basically it's not a reboot, but it's kind of refreshing of the universe. They took some story elements to kind of restructure the whole universe. Tell us as much as you know about it as far as a synopsis of the issue.
Yeah, this is kind of like DC's their own version of like sort of an apology letter for what happened in New 52 and kind of it's kind of like a rebirth. You're gonna get the characters that you know and love, and it's gonna basically, from here on out, it's going to kind of redo some of the things that didn't work out in the previous storylines. And so, like Jacob said, it's not a reboot at all. For me, I was happy to know that this comic, I didn't have to read all of Flashpoint or Infinite Crisis to get some kind of enjoyment from this comic. So it was really something that I enjoyed a lot.
I'm really excited because you don't have to have read all of New 52 to start this. You can kind of do a fresh start and start with this comic, and then pick up all the rebirth of the individual characters, and then pick up from there. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So that's kind of one of the best things about this whole thing. It kind of. By the way, we're gonna get into some spoilers from here on out. I'm titling this video "Spoilers Review." So if you don't want to know any spoilers within the DC Universe Rebirth comic, you can stop the podcast right now and come back and listen after you've read the issue. But it kind of introduces the Flash, the Wally West Flash, to show that the universe is different with the New 52, because I know they've changed certain things. Like, for example, Arrow and the Black Canary aren't as close as they once were before. I guess that's a new storyline in the New 52, and they kind of touch on that in this issue as to why that is. Someone is controlling and reset their universe and is kind of watching them, per se. If you've read this, then you know what we're referencing, but we'll talk about that near the end of the podcast. But let me just ask you, Gio, what are just a couple highlights of this DC Rebirth that you really enjoyed?
Well, I like how it touches on every DC character and pretty much where they stand. You kind of follow Wally West as he goes from character to character, and what happens is he's stuck in the Speed Force, right? And he's trying to get out of it, but at the same time, he's kind of observing like where everyone stands. So I like how it touched on every character, kind of gave us a tease of what to expect moving forward. I wrote in my notes that the DC Rebirth is all about restoration, reconnection, and reinvention, sort of, so to speak. So I'll be honest, I was quite confused about this.
Of course, because we don't know what we're reading. Mm-hmm. We haven't read the New 52 or in much DC Comics at all, really.
Yeah, there was a shot where they showed 3 Jokers, and I'm like, okay, what am I reading?
What does
here?
that mean?
Yeah. And I guess that it basically it's Batman looking at every Joker that's ever lived, I guess you could say.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's how I took it.
And then there's 2 Supermans, and I guess at the end of the New 52, spoiler, Superman dies, but not really.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was confused about. But we're gonna be confused if we don't know our history going into this. So that's something that I could have expected, I think.
Yeah, and I like how this comic it gets with the times. You have now, it shouldn't be no surprise that there was a female Green Lantern, but I mean,
which I love, and I read Green Lantern's Rebirth #1, and I'm gonna put my review up on that later. But I really liked it.
Yeah. So what's her name? Jessica Cruz.
Jessica Cruz. Yeah. How cool to introduce not only a female but a Latina as one of the Green Lanterns now. Right. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And now you have what's Ryan Choi, who is the Atom, because the Atom is stuck in his
that's right. Yeah.
Micro dimension.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's
so many little things that you get from this, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Gotham and Gotham Girl.
I don't know much about that. A few things in here I just kind of let go because I know the things that I'm interested in, I'm going to read on later, so I'll learn more information about that later.
Yeah. You have to talk about the Wally West and Barry Allen reunion.
Yeah.
That was
the best moment in the whole entire thing was when Wally West was pulled out of the Speed Force because Barry Allen remembered who he was, which is the thing. Nobody remembers who he was. He's trapped in the Speed Force, and he's trying to reconnect with some of his people. His love, I forget her name. I think I wrote it down somewhere. But anyways, yeah, no one remembers him until he reconnects with Barry Allen. And when he pulls him out and they hug, I got a little emotional right there. That was a great moment. For me, one of the things that worked was the narration of Wally West through the whole thing, because it starts and I'm like, at first you don't know who's narrating, and I'm like, who is this? And then you find out it's Wally West, and I'm like, this is interesting. And then by the midway, I'm like, wow, the best thing it did for me was there's so much going on, but they found a way to make it a personal story.
Yeah.
Because with everything going on, they made it about Wally West and him trying to find his way back to the real world through the Speed Force. And it's not just about a whole hundreds of characters. It's about this one personal story, and that's one of my major positives for the issue.
Yeah, he wants Barry Allen to remember him. He's like, why don't you remember me? And then at the end, he finally remembers. He's like, how could I have forgotten? I think those are the
exactly,
words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really touching. And I want to mention the Aquaman and Mera wedding proposal.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It kind of felt a little bit out of place, considering everything else that's going on. It's like, okay, we're gonna take this one moment to get romantic here, but
I think it's a little bit of foreshadowing is what the Aquaman Rebirth is going to cover, which I'm really interested in.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Again, I didn't read the Flashpoint New 52 or anything like that, but I still found some enjoyment in here, and I'm in it now. Like I'm part of the excitement. I want to be invested into this going forward, and you've already bought a couple issues.
Yeah, I bought a few, and we're going to talk about what we're interested in at the end of this podcast. But let's get into maybe a little bit of question marks or maybe negatives that we had. I'll go ahead and start. This is not the comic's fault. This is my fault. But if I have to nitpick, it is a little bit confusing for new readers, but I think it's a good starting off point. There was so much going on. There's like one shot of Constantine. There's like one shot of the new Green Lanterns. One shot of a lot of different characters, but they couldn't fit much more in here, which I appreciate. But also, some characters were missing completely. Like, I know Harley Quinn's going to be a huge part of this universe going forward. She wasn't in it at all.
No, not at all.
The issue that I have, she's on the cover of it. She's one of the characters that's on the cover, and I was looking for Harley Quinn. I didn't see her, but that's not necessarily the issue's fault. It's just you included so much, like a character like Constantine, who's probably not going to be that big of a part of the world when I know Harley Quinn is probably going to be. So that was just one of my negatives. And just a few things could have been more clearer to me, because although I'm not caught up on the New 52 and I don't know the recent history of the DC Comics, they could have made it a bit more clear as what's going on with Superman, arguably the most important character in this whole universe. I was very confused. I didn't know, is he dead? What's going on with him? I wish they would have been a little bit more clear on what's going on with such an important character. But Gio, did you have any negatives?
Well, first, they did say read Superman 52.
Yes, they did. Before it starts, it said, said to read those.
Yeah, so that to be fair. I don't really... I mean, there was one moment that bothered me. It's when the Atom is talking to Ryan Choi, and he's like, whatever you do, don't... Or when you talk to this person, don't, and then it cuts off, and it's like, come on, that's just... I mean...
So I guess, is there going to be an Atom comic book? There must be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's announced yet, but...
Yeah, I didn't see it on the release. They have all the release dates at the end of the issue. I didn't see that one there.
Yeah, and it's not really a negative. It's more of a curiosity of the biggest news, Dr. Manhattan, the Watchmen, coming into the DC universe.
Yeah, that's a question mark. And I don't know much about Watchmen. You do. You've seen the movie, so you know more than me.
I love the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those people who love the movie. And it's kind of... it's interesting because he took 10 years away from the DC universe. We find out it's him. And his whole loss of faith in humanity and love kind of plays into all of this. So he might be the big bad villain of
I
the
think,
DCU. And it's like, how do you stop
I think that might
Manhattan,
be a possibility. Not necessarily a villain, but someone they're going to have a problem with for sure, because they don't want anyone controlling them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Do you have any more negatives?
Not at the moment. Again, like, I went into this not knowing what to expect. I wanted to get into comics, and this whole thing, it got me into it. So now moving forward, I want to read more. Yeah,
for me, the Watchmen thing isn't a negative or a positive. I don't know anything about the Watchmen. So I asked the guy at the comic book store. He told me that is it Dr. Manhattan or Mr. Manhattan?
Dr. Manhattan.
That he can basically change reality and create universes.
Oh, he can do a lot.
That sounds very interesting, and I'm curious to see what that ends up meaning. But for now, I'm iffy on the Watchmen thing because I don't know enough about it. All right, I want to ask you a question, Gio. After reading DC Universe Rebirth, what are you most excited about? What issues do you want to pick up after this?
I definitely want to know about the Flash.
Me too.
That definitely got me connected to it. Aquaman, obviously. Like, I want to see Aquaman and Mera.
Well, he's one of your favorite characters recently, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of looking forward to everything. And, we're gonna pick up the comics together and read them issue by issue. So the one thing I wanted this to do was to get me into comic books, and it did for me. Yeah,
same for me. Like I said, I wasn't planning on picking it up. You brought it to me, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. And it kind of re-sparked my interest in wanting to always go and start reading comics, and this is my picking up point, and that's why I kind of have created this Comic Hero Talk channel, and I'm going to be reviewing a lot of comics from now on, not just DC, Marvel, and maybe some other ones too, some other properties that I really like. For me, I'm definitely interested in Batman. Like, what's up with the 3 Joker thing? I have to read that, and I read the first issue. I'll put up a review on that. I want to read Superman because I don't know what's going on with him.
Oh yeah.
I want to read Green Lanterns. I read Green Lanterns already, and I'm gonna keep reading it because I'm very interested in the new Lanterns, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, which is a new team of Lanterns.
The Green Lantern Corps.
Those are the 2 ones who are tasked with protecting Earth from now on, while Hal Jordan is out doing other stuff in the galaxy. So those are just a few I'm really interested in. I am actually interested in Aquaman, so we'll definitely be reading that. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this review of DC Universe Rebirth. Thank you, Gio, so much for joining me on my first video review for Comic Hero Talk. Let them know where they can find you online.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at GioRamos24 and apocalypsemovies.com every day. Check out that site. We're doing a lot of good stuff, writing editorials, reviews, and movie news. And, hey, sorry I'm not that informed with the comics, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, don't blame us for not knowing much. This is the whole point. We're casual, new comic book readers, and that's how we're approaching this. We kind of want to, appeal to those other people who are just picking up the comics. So please don't blame us for...
We're just like you.
Don't call us names for not knowing our stuff. I'm Jacob Bartley. You can find me on Twitter at JacobBartley_, on Instagram at Jacob Ryan Bartley, and on the Apocalypse Movies YouTube channel. That's my main YouTube YouTube channel where we do our movie news podcast. We do movie reviews, not just comic book stuff, all movies. We have a Star Wars podcast, the Padawan podcast. We have a Rumor Central podcast, which Gio hosts. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. So go follow Apocalypse Movies, and please subscribe to this channel, Comic Hero Talk. I'm going to be putting out a lot of stuff about just all superhero, every media, all superheroes. So please subscribe, like, comment on this video. Let us know what you thought of DC Universe Rebirth, and let us know what you thought of our review. How are we doing? What do we need to improve on? We're just starting videos, so any constructive criticism really helps.
Don't look so nervous.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, y'all take care.